Hey everybody, it's been a while since I've done a deep dive analysis and prediction video, and I know a few of you guys enjoy my analysis, so I thought I would jump into the upcoming third bout between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. So there's a lot to get into with this fight, but if you do enjoy these analytical videos or boxing history and fight recap videos, please subscribe so you don't miss out. Also, make sure to stick around for the whole video so you can see my full prediction of the fight. Anyways, to start right off, I wanted to get into analysing Fury's strengths and weaknesses, then we'll dive into Wilder's. For Fury, we'll start with his deficiencies. One of the things that Fury does constantly is that behind his Philly shell, when he is advancing to his opponent, Fury relaxes his lead shoulder too much. Now, with any fighter doing this motion or guarding this way, the lead shoulder needs to be engaged at least a little bit and lifted slightly, so when a punch is incoming, it takes less energy to lift the shoulder up to the chin, as well as it's much quicker action. When the shoulder is just completely down, it opens up the chin as there's no hand or shoulder to deflect any incoming shots. In particular, right hands, overhand rights, and jabs can sneak over the top of this shoulder. Now for some of Fury's offense. When Fury does come in, he has a tendency to throw 3 to 5 punches, but his hands drop significantly and are being thrown on a very wide trajectory, making him very open for a counter straight or a short hook. But to truly capitalize on these problems, you either have to be a slick counter puncher or be a highly aggressive brawler who will sit on Fury's chest, constantly angling off and level change on him. Neither are what Wilder is known for, but we'll get back to that later. Looking at some of Fury's huge positives, however, the awkward movement coupled with his style, as well as his genuine height and weight, is something extraordinary, and to prepare for someone like him is a nightmare. To time this moving giant is going to be something very hard to do. As well, for someone Fury's size, he loves to throw jabs to the solar plexus of Wilder. Having these jabs to the body from someone this size would take the wind out of almost anybody. And this is something he used in the second fight to great effect due to Wilder's inability to block these shots. I honestly think this was an ingenious strategy from him in that second fight, as Wilder is so open to the body that getting Wilder to worry about what's coming to the sternum will open him up to hooks when he tries to parry these shots. The other great thing Fury did to disable Wilder is that instead of throwing straight right hands, Fury loops his right. And the reason this is good in the case of fighting Wilder is when Wilder throws his jab, he always just throws a single jab and does nothing, or he will throw a right hand behind it. So to step in close when Wilder throws a jab to suffocate his right hand, force him to go back and catch him with a looping shot over said jab is something that will continue to work on Wilder all night. Now, that's Fury done. Let's get into the positives of Wilder first before we talk about his weaknesses. Everybody always talks about his magnificent power in his right hand, and that's something we'll get to, but not many people talk about his powerful jab. Wilder's jab is heavily underrated. It's quite good, he pushes right through the chest and the shoulder to generate quite a bit of power. However, with all this power, as I touched on before, he won't throw a second. It's always a single jab, move away, or a single jab, then right hand. There's no variation. As well, when he does throw this jab, he steps way too big, opening him up for Fury's right hand. And as well, almost every single time he throws a jab, his right hand drops to his hip, which is a terrible habit to be in when you're fighting Fury, who loves to throw winging left hooks as he comes in. But if Wilder can shorten the step, make it a bit more subtle and throw multiple jabs, it could be a real problem for Fury. Another positive of Wilder is his concussive power. Anybody who has power like he does can strike fear into his opponent's heart, but he needs to stop being so reliant on it. He needs to set up with lighter and various different types of punches, hide the punch in the middle of a combo rather than give his opponent a telegram every time he throws it. Now those were his positives, and slight changes can make them really effective, but now for his weaknesses. One of the reasons Wilder was wiped out in their second fight is that Wilder has no idea how to box going backwards. His style is so dependent on forward momentum that when going backwards, everything he is deficient in becomes so much more prevalent. For example, when he goes backwards, he either crosses his feet over, just walks around his opponent, or resets way too wide, making him quite off balance. More to that point, when he does go backwards, his hands fly right up in front of his nose and his elbows come in front of his chest, making him tremendously open for wide punches such as hooks and rips. And when he isn't in this defensive shell, his elbows will constantly do the opposite. They will fly out, causing openings for the previously mentioned jabs to the body or any direct punch to the face. His defense is really compromised, and part of this is that when punches are being thrown at him, rather than parry, catch the shot, roll with the punch, Wilder brings up his guard to meet the shot. So whenever Wilder defends one punch, he's open for the punch 3, 4, 5 or 6. Now if his guarding isn't great, his counter punching isn't either. When Fury is throwing a barrage of punches coming forward, Wilder won't throw a counter. Instead he waits for his opponent to finish the combo and then he will advance. It's like taking turns. There's nothing to keep Fury at bay but Fury's own fatigue when he comes forward. But that's enough of his defense. What about his offense? When Wilder attacks, it's all or nothing. He steps so wide with his lead foot and cocks his rear shoulder back to another state to gain the maximum leverage. However, when he does this, he leans extremely far forward, creating a plethora of options for a counter such as uppercuts. Further to that point, because he steps so big, after he's thrown the rear hand, he has to lift the rear foot off the ground and take an inordinate amount of time to reset, making all offense obsolete for a period of time due to the lack of balance and poor positioning. And finally, when Wilder throws, he leaves his punches out for too long. After he throws, his hands are left in no man's land while he watches his work, once again causing counter-punching opportunities. So you've got this far. What's my prediction? If you haven't already guessed, it's Tyson Fury by TKO. I think Wilder's deficiencies are too much, and his lack of counter-punching acumen and defensive abilities will create vast opportunities for Fury to capitalize. I think Fury needs to do the exact same as he did in the first fight. Advance forward, push Wilder on his back foot and suffocate his leverage. But the more interesting question is, how can Wilder win? There's two possibilities. One is simple, that Fury doesn't take the fight seriously, he's out of condition and Wilder knocks him out. Or the far more surprising, interesting option is that Wilder wins by learning to counterpunch and box off the back foot. If Wilder can catch Fury as Fury rushes in with quick right hands and left uppercuts and spins Fury away, I think he has a chance. Do I think he can do that though? No. I think Wilder and his team are too much in love with his power and will continue to try and knock Fury out without adjusting to anything. As I said before, there are two ways to beat Fury: by counter-punching him when he rushes forward, or sit on his chest, make him uncomfortable and use angles similar to Mike Tyson-esque style. And I don't think Wilder will do either. So my official prediction is Fury by stoppage. But what do you guys think of the fight? What do you think will happen? And what did you think of the video? Did you enjoy the analysis and prediction? If you did, please press like and subscribe, it would mean a lot. And leave it in the comments below what you thought. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.